Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher again. We are back doing the mouse. We got the one side pretty much out, but I'm going to redo a little more, and then we're going to do the other side, and hopefully we could at least get this thing shaped up to where it should be. And then I'm going to show you some other things that need to be done. We still have to reconstruct the face a little bit more, get the eyes where they need to be. The ears need a little massaging, and the back on this side needs to be done again, which we haven't done. So on this video coming now, we're going to do the other side, and it's similar to what we just did, but it'll be like a reinforcement of what we just was supposed to be doing on the other side. And then we internally here, we have to hollow out some of this so that the legs take a little more shape on the bottom here, and we'll need to get the face. It actually hollows out a little bit more between the legs and so on. I'll show you how to do all that. And in the meantime, one of my subscribers had a real good idea, and I have patterns here for this, if anybody, and kits, to give you the blank, the eyes, and the pattern. And if anybody wants to do it, I have them available, okay? The other thing, too, is a suggestion the subscriber made, and I appreciate the info, because I was showing you exactly how to draw these on, where you could see I have pencil marks all over. One way to do this, and I was trying to give you measurements and so on, is to get a copy of the pattern, and then what you can do is you can cut out the pattern, lay it on the piece of wood, and put I would say go with graphite paper rather than carbon paper. Carbon paper really messes things up. The carbon tends to get all over the place. The graphite paper has like a little wax film, which doesn't allow the graphite to go bouncing all over the place on your piece, and it keeps it a little cleaner. And you can get that at a hobby shop anywhere, like a sheet of it, and that'll keep you going forever. And but in that respect, you can copy all of what is on the pattern right onto the sheet, right onto your sheet, or right onto your piece of a blank of this. And it's like this here, say that this is totally blank. So you could actually lay that outline on there, and if you put graphite paper underneath it, and you come in with a ballpoint pen to see what you picked up, it'll transfer it right on. And you can, and because I'm giving you all four sides, you got both sides. So this is one way that you don't have to be so artistic or measuring and stuff like that. You can take it right off the drawing, because these drawings are right to scale, and it's the blank itself. In fact, if anybody wanted to do these, you can make a template. I don't think I have the templates right in front of me right now, but from the pattern, you can make a template, and you can cut your own out too. That's another way of doing this as well. And if you want the kits, you'd get something like this, and then you can cut this out on your own if you make a template of it. But you can also use my pattern to just transfer the markings right on, okay? And it's simple enough, it's not like we're doing detailed birds where it's a wraparound body or something. This is flat, so you can transfer that right on real easy. And for those who hate to take measurements or hate to draw, that's a simple way. So that was a good idea, and I appreciate the subscriber who gave me that information. He did, and I want to pass that on too, that you can transfer the markings right on, pretty easy. And that'll keep you in the ballpark, okay? The drawing that I have, the pattern is accurate, so you can do that exactly. And I'm trying to give you all 4 views, the front, the back, and everything. It's simple enough, but it's great to get the information, you know, and I wanted to give you both sides so you can see it, because sometimes seeing one side, you can't really realize that it's a mirror image on the other side. So I gave you all 4. Sometimes with birds, it doesn't always translate that way, and you sort of have to imagine that the view I gave you in profile is the same on the other side, but you don't always realize that, you know, and it's helpful. It's very helpful. The other thing I want to say, as I usually do, is if you're enjoying the videos and you really like them, I would ask you to give me a thumbs up. And if you could subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that greatly. It really helps on the algorithms. And as part of YouTube here. And if you can pass the word on to friends that may be interested. Maybe they don't want to do the mouse, but if they want to do birds or something like that, or even the mouse, who knows? It's a nice little novelty thing that we're doing now. I'm just trying to do a change of pace. I'll get back to birds and I'll do that too, but I just want to let you know that. But I do have the kits that are available for almost everything. And in my catalog, I have a whole bunch of birds and animals, and the mouse is on there. And if you wanted to get patterns, or just you need eyes or feet for a bird or something like that, and in most cases I have them, okay? And if you don't see it on there, you could ask me and I could at least put you in the right direction to get them, okay? I do have some books, and I just wanted to make people aware of that too. I can't, like somebody asked me about doing some ducks. I do have some books that are very good on duck carving, if anybody's interested. I do have some books on relief, and I also have on Rosalind Dacey's books on birds, similar to what I'm teaching here. And my attitude is, if you can learn from other people as well as me, you can come up with your own style, you know, and that's something I want you to be aware of, that I'm not the end all here, but I'm trying to give you a real good jump start, and then from there you could go on and develop your own style, okay? So be open to whatever you can learn, okay, and not just me. I could get you so far, and there's other people you can learn from, and they may have a better technique. I've learned a lot when I was teaching, when my students would try things or accidentally do something that was wrong that looked good, and I said, let's do it that way. So, you know, you can learn from everybody. You'd be surprised. So be open about it. And like I said, if anybody wants to try any of these items that I carry, I have a catalog. And if you're interested in trying, you can get my catalog by writing to me. Just send me an email to Rauscher, Rauscher, Frank, Frank, 7 @gmail.com. I also have it in the description of this video as well, or any of my videos. So if you need to get in touch with me or to try to get a catalog, I can email it right out to you. And if there's anything you may need or you're looking for some advice, my phone number's in there too, and you can call me and get in touch with me, and I'll gladly try to help you out and point you in the right direction if I don't have some of the things you're looking for. So I'm going to move the camera down so we can continue on with the video, and hopefully we can get the other side going, and maybe we'll see how far we get before we wrap the shaping of it, okay? So bear with me. Okay, we're going to do a little more markings in here, and I'm going to try to, here we go again. These are where I'm going to give you measurements. You have ears on the top here of the mouse, and what it is, you can almost, from the top, which would be like your top corner here, and from here to here on a straight line basis from the center line out, you could get this point and you can get this point. So I'm going to give you a dimension from the center line out on this, and I'm going to measure about 3/16. Yep. 3/16 out from the center. I put a dot, 3/16, and right through this, what's an area that we hollowed out. I want you to draw a parallel line to the center line right there, like this and like this. Now, from the corner, like here, which is right where this edge is rolling up and touches the ear, you could go just below that, just a little bit, to where the end of the ear stops right here, and draw like an arc coming up and hitting that line. And then on the back side, like here, this ear has a shape. I only shaded it, but I'm going to put a mark in here again. You have a seam that comes across, where the ear came down, like right into here. There's a line usually going across there. That's just the way I cut it out. I'm going to ask you to, from that line at 3/16 out, I'm going to ask you to come in here and arc this down to that, where it would coincide with the line that's the end of the ear over here, okay? And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing and try to make it the same on both sides, okay? So you have this one coming around to here, which is like the end of where the ears stop there. And then I'm going to ask you to, on the back side, is to roll this around. It's an arc, okay? And you want both sides to look the same. We're trying to make it symmetrical. Now, on the nose, remember I had a line in here earlier where we pulled this in slightly. I'm going to go in a little bit more now. So I'm going to give you a dimension from the nose out, and that is going to be, let's see if I can get this correctly here. It's about a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. So from here out, I don't want to get into 3/32, but it's like 1/2 of a 16th. So it's 1/8 plus 1/2 a 3/32, and this will be just off the nose here. You're going to have a line coming down, or There's going to be a dot here and a dot over here. You're doing the same measurement. And then you're going to draw a line that's almost straight up to that corner where the ear was coming around. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, okay? So it's a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch, about a 1/2 of a 16th beyond the 1/8 down here, and then you're drawing a straight line up to here. What we're going to try to do here is I want to reduce this head so that the material comes back to that line, okay? We're going to try to get the shape of the head a little bit more. The other thing that I wanted to do is, let's see, we covered this and we got this out, and you needed it about from here in about 1/8 of an inch. So if you didn't get that depth, you're going to be shallow out here, but in here from about where the middle of the ear, you want this to stand out. So the thickness from the top of the surface in is about 1/8 of an inch, okay? And by us thinning this out, you're not going to take anything off of the leg. You're just reducing the face area. That'll help you get to that 1/8 inch sticking out. But you need at least 1/8 of an inch, either from the top foot or the bottom one, at least from the top or top surface to back here. You got to be an 1/8 of an inch from here to here. So that should be raised. Now, you could also draw, if I take a measurement here, which I do a lot, you can tell I've been in engineering, from the center line to here is a 1/4 of an inch. So you should have a straight line sort of coming up and down on both sides here. So you can see in this case here, it needs more work because we haven't really done anything on this side that much. We did a little bit of taking this out. So let me get going on this side, and then I'll show you how I want you to tackle this. The other thing too is this area in here between the legs here and here have to be taken out. So if you look at my finished one here, between the legs, it opens up, and that little step right in here goes and disappears, and it comes back almost to the underneath side of the head here. So I'm going to show you how to take that out too. So let me get started here. I'm going to do this for starters. Let me start on the ear a little bit. What we're going to do is I'm going to come in on the outside with my flame tip now. If you have a bullet diamond or a flame tip diamond, either one of them will work. I'm going to go to the outside of the pencil line, and I'm going to undercut this. And I'm not doing a lot. I'm going in, and I'm trying to come down to where this ear line that came down stopped right there. I'm going to ask you to come in and just bring that down right to there. And then follow that back all the way back to that corner there, like so. Okay, and we're going in maybe a 1/16, okay, in depth. Now, what I want to do is the ear gets rounded, and this is the finished one here. I'm going to roll this. So this has edges here and here and there. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into that channel we made, and I'm going to get my point in there, and I'm going to round that over. I'm going to get right down into that valley. Okay. And just to get the piece out of that valley, I'm using this bit here. This is ideal for getting right down into the valley and rounding, at least it coming out. Now to round the whole thing, I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to change my bit, and I'm going to take out the flame, and I'm going to go with the ruby pear. Okay, get that in, and I'm going to come in and use the rest of it to round my piece off. Hang on. My lights are acted up. Hopefully you get a little more brightness here, and you can see this. I think the lights in my studio are getting like me, and we're aging. I may have to change the bulbs out. So I'm rounding this over, and I'm trying to get the squareness out. And if you have to get down into that valley again, you may want to go back with the flame again. If you can't get everything, you can't get into that valley too well. Now what I'm trying to do is get a rollover, so everything is rolling down into that area. Now I'm going to come in a little more in here and trying to get down to that depth that we have in here and smooth that out, so that little channel edge we had in the middle of the head is getting flattened out. Okay, it's still there, but we want to fade it out. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep the shape of the ear so that it is coming from here and it's coming down to here, and I'm seeing I got bumps here, I got squareness here. I gotta still get this to roll nicely up to this way and roll down this way and roll down this way, and I got still edges. So I'm going to come in and get this rounded over. Now I'm not being real aggressive, and some of my rubies are getting old like me, where newer ones would cut faster. So I'm going to soften this edge back on the top here, just a little bit. And I'm pulling this outline that we had here. We had a line here coming around. We have an inner line coming around. I'm just softening that just slightly. Okay. And then I'm going to soften that edge right there, so it's not an edge that It's just soft on top. It's just like rounding that over, but ever so slightly. Hope you can see that. And I hope you can see it. It sort of rolls from here up to the top, and this is smooth. You don't want too much of an edge showing. You want it sort of rolling slightly around, okay? If need be, you can even hollow a little bit in here that if you didn't get enough before. Okay? And then I'm going to clean this up in the middle here. So I come in through here. Try to get that cut line that we have between across the ears here go away. So I'm going to clean that up. And then we have one more line. I know I'm going to lose this that I just told you, but we have this here. I'm going to soften this with the pear right now, right? That edge line that came across just above what would be like the eye area here. I'm going to come in and just roll that a little bit. I'm going to come back and put this back in again. So this is like rolling rather than an edge. So let me do this. I think what I'm going to probably end up doing is we'll still work on pulling this in, but we'll do one side at a time. Then we'll come over and do the second side. The last time, I hope I didn't create some havoc with you in making such a long video. I tend to want to tell you everything at once, and you can't do that. And I made an exceptionally long video that was over an hour, so I'm going to try to give you smaller bites if I can. Here's that line that I said we created right here. And now I brought this ear around. Okay, it's still not 100%. I can still see a little bit of an edge here and maybe a little spot there. I touch it up with my pencil and then come back and revisit. I want this to flow down, and that crease we had across here, I'm trying to get that to disappear a little bit. So I use the pear just to clean that up so that we don't have any defined line there. Now, what I want you to do, now that I'm putting the center line back, here's that line where the ear came around to here. I'm going to ask you to bring this line back. I'll bring this one back too, but we're going to work on this side again still. I'm now going to reduce this some more, okay? So I'm going to come in. I'll probably use the pear because it's a more controllable cut. We move this in this line here. And also, if you could sort of mimic some of it on the bottom, we want to come in a little bit more down below here too. So this will pull in more, but we're doing one side right now, okay? I think that's the best way to do it. So I don't want to come into the ear. I have the ear here. And that stops there, and that stops there. I don't want to keep this area. I want to stay away from what's this hollow here. I don't want to do too much. And I want to stay off the arm here, or the front leg, okay? I'm going to come in and reduce some of this. Be careful over here and here. And flatten all this down and use the boundary of the ear and the foot. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to lay this in here. Using the pear again. It comes pretty fast. I don't want to obliterate the nose. Okay, so remember, you're doing this and it comes fast. So just remember, you can see I took material out, but I checked to see if I'm on the line yet. I still have to take more off down here, but I want to do it gently, and I usually like the pear because the ruby pear doesn't cut as fast, and you can control it better. That's why diamonds are great if you know where you're going, okay? And if you feel confident in it, use diamond bits. But now I'm going to go for the bottom side of this and come up to the line a little bit too. Okay. So there's my line. If I put my finger up to it, I could see a little more material. So I'm going to come in here, take that down a little bit more. I do not want to encroach on to the nose, and I don't want to take much out on the ears. I'm going to come right around the eye here. And being real careful not to hit the front leg. And what that does is it exposes this leg more so that you have almost a full 1/8 inch from the top of the surface back. We're getting pretty close. I see a little more needs to be taken up here. And I'm trying to keep it flat for the moment. Hope you can see this well. If I put my thumb up there, we're pretty well flattened out there, okay? And the eye, if the eye gets lost along the way, I'm going to ask you to come back. Let me get my burnisher, which is ruby ball. See if I can find that. I got so many bits here. There it is. If you start to lose the eye, I'm going to ask you to do this. This is I think it's close to a 4mm. Why is that so tight? Don't know. Shouldn't be. Okay. It's a 4mm ruby ball in its former life. I'm going to come in right in on what I had before. You can see it's smoking a little bit. I'm going to get the ball almost in the hole so that for what I ground away, I get the ball right into the hole, okay, the whole ball. And this ball size, just to keep you on line, is about a 4mm ruby ball, okay? So that'll at least preserve that, what's the name? That hole for the eye. Now, what I want to do is, let me check with my original here. I'm going to come in, and we have this nose coming around here, and it comes from the top, it's about a, let's see what it measures. It's pretty close. It's not much. It's about a little more than a 1/16, maybe 3/32 back. I think it's really a little bit more than an 1/8 inch, okay? And then from the corner of it, which is right here, that leading edge that we usually have, like a sharp edge we have here, we still have it there. If you come back about maybe a similar distance, you can draw the bottom. And the width of the two, I think if I'm not mistaken, was about 1/8 of an inch on each side. So from the center line out, 1/8 of an inch, and center line out, 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to ask you to go back to your flame. And we're going to undercut this ever so slightly. So I'm going to come in, just undercut. I'm leaving the pencil line there, and just undercutting it so slightly. Okay, I hope you can see this. Just enough to outline it without getting rid of the pencil line. Okay. So what happens is it projects up a little bit. Okay. And you're sticking up maybe a 30-second. It's really small. You don't want it exaggerated a whole lot. Then I'm going to, now that I have the whole thing out, I'm going to put a pencil line around here, even though we have it there. I'm going to show you. I'm going to soften this edge in the middle here to get rid of that line. Just a real light touch to round it over. Just ever so slightly. Roll that up and around. Just like so. And it just pops up. You're hardly touching and taking anything out, okay? You can come around like this and sort of raise it just slightly, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you to round this over. See this edge? You undercut it and you stop back here, and then you have an edge here, you have an edge on this side, and you have this coming up. Well, I'm not worried about that, but right in here. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to round this with this coming right up to the nose and down and around, okay? So I'm softening that out. I'm softening this edge right out, right here, just slightly, okay? And just rounding this side here. And even this edge coming down, I'm going to round that just a little bit. Now, let me shut this off. I'm going to highlight this again. I'm coming around the nose. It's raised just slightly. I'm coming around here like that, okay? Your center line is still coming through. Okay, I hope you can see all this. And this line was coming down right to here. So what I want to do now is we're going to work the eye. And the eye has a little bit of a channel too. The channel on the eye, if I can get this correctly, goes this way. It comes from the ear down. Let's see if I can get this right. To the nose. So it has like a little channel. So I'm going to put a line in the middle of the eye in the back, coming through like this, heading towards the nose. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with my pear. Let's see how far I can get with that before I have to yell uncle. Get this in here. I'm going to come in here. You know what? I think this is too big. I'm trying to remember how I did this the first time, so bear with me. I think we're better off with the flame. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I want to come in here and get like a channel in here, so I'm going to go right over that pencil line, and I'm going to go in about a 1/16, and I'm heading towards the nose, like so. I'm going through the eye, almost up to the ear. Let me draw a line in there and sort of did a couple of jogs in there. I put, sort of missed there it is, it's up here. So what I'm going to do is smooth this out now. Let me get this more centered. So it's going right through the eye, right there. I think that's a better line of action, going through the eye. Okay? Now that I got that line, and it's in about a 1/16, I'm going to come rolling out with that, with the flame. So you have that little indent there. I'm going to come in and stay off the ear. But I want it to almost look like it's flowing into the ear. I'll clean the back up, back of the eye, and then right up to what looks like the ear. This could come forward a little bit. This is the continuation of the ear, right in here. And here's your other one, right there. And the eye sort of flows into the ear just a little bit. Right in here. Ever so slightly. Now I'm going to round this up this way. Your paw or foot is going to get raised a little bit more. You're not going into that. You're just rounding the face right in here. And it comes down, but just shy of the nose. And then I'm going to round this a little bit more. Now I'm going to do this side. Get into that channel. And then it's coming out. This is on the front end of the eye now. Going towards the nose. And I'm rounding that over. Now, it's not really real smooth, but here's the next step. What we're going to do now is this edge that we have shooting all the way up to here is going to roll around. And we're going to do that with the pear. That's why I didn't want to do the pear first. I wanted to get that channel in there for the eye. And then we get the pear in there. So the pear is going to do this. The pear is going to come into that channel. And we're not going to touch the nose, but this whole edge of the head is going to round over. And again, make sure you're not banging the nose. Okay. You're rounding this over so it's rounded and it skims right to the center. And then you're going to come up into the forehead here. You don't want to touch the ear. And here's your ear line right here. But you got this big bump right in here. So come in here. Bring that down. And round that over without touching the ear. Rolling this around. And I'm coming to the front again just to see if I got everything rolling around nicely. So what we're trying to do is from this channel that we have coming through here, it's rolling up and around to the center. Okay? And I don't want to touch the nose. I don't want to touch the ear, but I'm getting close to the ear here up here. So I'm rolling this forehead over a little bit more. And I'm coming down to the nose without touching the nose, okay? And then I'm looking at the bottom. And the bottom still has, you have an edge here, and I still see like an edge up here. So I'm going to try to give you a measurement. Let's see how much I need to pull in there. It's not too much. I'm going to come in. I'm going to draw this in, and then let me get this foot that I was saying that needs to be from here to here, at least 1/4 of an inch. So you need this line of action. You don't want to go and take material past this 1/4 of an inch. This here has to stay. So we're reducing material from like this corner of the nose here, and we're going to round from the center and around here, okay? And this edge of the channel I'm going to soften down. Hope you can see this. I'm going to get this fit, come right on in. Take this back a little bit. And I'm being very careful not to bang the leg. And just right here in the point. Now I can't get all the way in there because I'm going to need my flame in there. But this is reducing, and I want to hog this out. I want to take this out. All the way out. I want to take, we have 1/4 of an inch here, and let me see if I can't do the other side as well, at least for some of this anyway, because I'm only doing one side at a time. So if I measure out 1/4 of an inch, this is your line of action. 1/4 of an inch out is here to here, and I go straight back, paralleling the center line. And I want to keep this for my leg, okay? And I think that's the right way I'm trying to go, yeah. And I'm going to take all this material from back here and here. All this is coming out. So I'll try to do some of it with the pear, but we'll probably need another bit in there. So I'm going to come right into the center here. Now, if you have a hogging bit that you're game enough to try, let's see what I have. Let's see if I can't use a little bit of the hogging bit. And what I mean by that is the tungsten carbide one. I'll use, don't want that, want this. Oh, forgot my collet. This here collet takes me from an 1/8 inch to 3/32. And when I'm using the bigger bit, I have to increase it. So I'm going to be careful here. I'm going to come in. This will get me down real fast. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to at least get a start with this. But I don't want to go deep. I'm just trying to go in. See if I can come this way a little bit. I'm just going to get close and then I'm going back with the pair. Okay. So let me show you what I did here. We had an edge here and we have an edge back here. And I'm trying to take this back, maintaining this line here, which is 1/4 of an inch out from the center line, from here to here. And then you have another 1/4 of an inch, which is here. And I'm trying to stay within this area right here, all the way back to there. Now I can't get everything back there, so I'm going to change the bit and I'm going to go with the pair. Okay. So let me come back. Excuse me. Trying to get back to that cutting edge that we had in there, that little step. So I'm cleaning this out. And I gotta get the flame in here eventually. I'm trying to get this pair to do a lot of the excavation. Now I'm trying to redo this where the tail comes into the body. I'm trying to blend that back as well. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just remember, I'm going to heavy this up so you can see it. That is what we got to maintain, and this is what we got to maintain. So I'm coming in here and blending that up into here. Blend this up right there. And I'm trying to get that rolling. And because my bits aren't brand new, they tend to, you can lean a little bit more, where if you have a brand new bit, it'll get there real fast. So I'm trying to blend all of this back so it looks natural. Now I'm coming in here. And I don't want to gouge things as much as I want to go in and smooth things out. Okay. I think for the rest of it now, you could see we're taking shape on one side here. We got the edges out, we got the eye coming in, and we hollowed this out. Now to get the back of that, I'm going to go with the flame just to get in there. It's a little, I'm going to leave this on the longer side so I can stretch in to clean that out. We have an edge right here, and I'm going to go after that edge by smoothing it out so we could lose it. Come along here. And what I mean by the edge, I don't know if you can see it. Here's the pencil line. And it's got a real sharp edge in there. So I need to come in and I'm going to attack it from one side and slope it down into that. And then I'm going to roll this without going into the pawl area. Or foot area. And round this over a little bit more to the center. So let me shut this off. I'm trying to do this so you can follow me. Here's the center line. And I always try to keep that center line because you can gauge how much you got to take out from one side to the other. What I'm doing is I have the nose here. We've rounded this over here. Now I'm trying to round this down to here and come all the way back. This 1/4 of an inch up that we're trying to maintain is the thickness of this leg from the top back and this one here. So we may want to cut just a little bit in here and round it so that this can pop out just a little bit more. And you do this with the flame. So I'm going to come in here on the outside of that leg with the foot. I'm going to undercut that just a little bit more. And then I'm going to blend that out. And I'm rolling it around to the center line. Okay. And what it does, it sort of rolls around. So I'm going to blend this back up top here into the eye channel. And I'm still trying to keep that paw at least from here back to here, 1/8 of an inch out. So it looks like it's lifting back there. And then I try to blend all this material back in gradually. And as you look at it, you'll see, that I need to take a little bit off here, and between these two bits, you can see I got rid of the edge somewhat here. And this rolls from here and around, and then from here and around, and it still keeps the nose, okay? This could be deeper in here, if I remember correctly. This bottom leg has to go deeper, okay? I was only able to get the pair in there so far, so I'm going to lay on the outside of that line, just up to here on the leg. I'm going to take that all the way back in. Now let me show you what I just did. I went from here, and I drove that all the way back almost up to here on the leg. Okay, you had the bottom leg and the top leg right in the same line of action here. I drove my flame tip on the outside so that you're still maintaining 1/8 of an inch from here to here. Now I'm going to blend this inward here. So I made a deep cut from here to here, about a good 1/16 again, and I'm going to blend that out. So I use the flame again. There we go. I'm coming back in here, getting the tip in, going all the way back, always maintaining the 1/8 inch. I mean the 1/4 inch from the center out, or an 1/8 inch from the top to the bottom here. And what it does, it projects this popping up, okay? And it allows that blade to project out. Now, to make that blade look a little more proficient, I'm going to put that pencil line back in there that I had before. And I'm going to go in there like this and roll it out a little bit. And round this over here so it has a nice smooth finish. And no edges. Okay, it's like rolling back down into that valley. And then we come in here. Reduce that down. So, we'll come in a little bit more here. This tall. Now what happens here is that center line comes down here. I'm always going to draw the center line so that you can see it. This is rolling from here and around, okay, up to here. And then you have that little bit of an eye channel right in here that you do with a flame. And then it rolls from here up and around. And you're keeping the eye channel, you're just softening it and rolling it. And that, you can see how that really pulled in there, and you get the nose sort of pops out, and that's great. Now we did this side, so we have our, from here to here, we have 1/8 of an inch. From down here to here, we have 1/8 of an inch, and we cleaned this all out. Now what we got to do is, I got a little more cleaning to do in here, but then I got to do that side. So we're really working the one side first. But I'm going to clean up just a little bit here on the center, and we'll call it a day on this one. And then I'm going to take it to the other side on the next video. Let me clean this out too back here. Just trying to maintain this. That one. Okay, we got half of it out now. So we've shaped the ear, got that rounded over. We've narrowed this side of the face in. You put a channel that is running from here up into here. Your ear stops here, and it stops here. And this sort of just encroaches into the ear just a little bit. You've got that with the flame. And then you're maintaining from here to here, all the way up here and to about here, at least 1/8 of an inch from this line to the top. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We hollowed out this area. So between here and here, we took that all the way back to that crease we had in there. Now, on the next video, we're going to go do the other side, and this will really come together when we get to that. So I hope you got something out of this one, and we didn't confuse you. And if we did, we're going to do it again. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it on that side too. Okay? So it's a gradual staging, and you do it with the pear, the if you need a ball to go into the eye, to push it in more, because the more we go in, we may not have had that deep enough. So you don't want to lose the eye. So you may want to do this early, because the eye has to get back to this line here because we've pushed it in. So if before we start this one again on this side, we may want to just push the eye in a little bit more. And I'll show you how we do that, okay, on the next go around. Okay, I hope you got something out of this. It's starting to shape up. You can see if I cover half of this, and where it's really got a corner and everything else. So if I take that out, you can see the shaping of the head and everything else, and the ears out. Then this is all squared up. We'll take care of that on the next video. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate that as well. I think this will be a cute little item when we get done with it. And we'll see you on the next video. And if you need a catalog, remember, you can get it through my email address, which is in the body of the description of this video. And I hope you enjoyed it. So we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again. Bye now.